Hi everyone, I welcome you all to the today's podcast. I am Chabi, I'm your podcaster of the day, and today we have a very special guest with us. We have Sajeev Nair with us. He is the founder and chairman of Vieroots Wellness Solutions, and with that note, he is a biohacker. So you might be thinking, what's a biohacker? We would be talking about it super soon. And with that note, I just want to add one more amazing thing about him, that he also he's also an author of of one amazing book, which is one of the best selling in the present time, of the name The Making of a Superhuman. And with that note, I welcome you, Sajeev, in our today's podcast.
Thank you. Thank you, Chavi.
Hi. So, as I mentioned about biohacking, so what is actually biohacking? Like this term is something I guess new to the youth, or like how it works and what it is actually.
Mainly biohacking, if you wanted to put it as a definition, you can say it as taking charge of hacking your own biology. Hacking means, taking charge, you can say, in a simple man's language. So, biohacking is nothing but fully in control, fully in charge of your own biology. When we say biology, we can add physiology and psychology. That means your neuro and also your physio part. So it's all about the science, the tools, the processes, the methodologies, which are scientifically proven. There has been many people who have been practicing some sort of biohacking from good old days, but most of it were not scientific, and we used to say that these are all kind of voodoo kind of stuff. But now, if you look at it, you have got so much of scientific interventions which has happened in this field, whereby you have so many different processes, methodologies, mechanisms, tools available by which one can take charge of their own biology. That's all about biohacking.
That's pretty much interesting to hear. And also, with that note, why are people doing this whole biohacking thing? Is it something which is helping them? And also, if I'll say I want to biohack myself, so why would I be doing it? Like, what's the benefit of doing all these things?
I would rather say in the last 20 years, if you look at it, around the world and especially in India, the wellness quotient of people have increased. People have become more and more health conscious. There is a good part of it, and also there is a bad part to it, because people have
Exactly.
started unnecessarily getting into different types of wellness practices, popping in a lot of nutrition supplements, or jumping into some fitness programs, or getting into some diet plans without even knowing whether that is suitable for them. Um, but COVID has also made people a lot more conscious about their health. They understood that this kind of I'm the only one person who is responsible for my life. I'm the only one person who is responsible for my health. And that is where I think more and more people have started thinking about ways and means by which they can take charge of their own health. So that is the significance of biohacking, even though this concept has been there around for the last more than a decade. But all of a sudden, after COVID, a lot of people have started talking about it in some way or other. Yeah, it is definitely helping people. For example, I have been in the field of wellness for the last 20 years, more than 2 decades. In fact, started my wellness journey by selling nutrition supplements, then setting up wellness clinics. But off late, by 2016-17 was the time I started, not I never looked at biohacking as a thing, but I wanted to learn about human longevity and peak performance, because I'm a peak performance coach too. I do major performance conventions. There are a lot of energy. You yourself have to be at a very high energy level. Then only you can actually inspire people to be at the highest energy levels. So by 2016-17, that was the time I was understanding that I'm getting into my 50s. So I need to have more energy and more, performance, better cognitive power in my life. And that made me to get into a deeper level of research on human longevity, peak performance, and all those stuff. And there I learned this concepts of biohacking. I would rather say that's where I started learning about it. Most of it has come from the Western world, and more to do with popping some pills, or maybe to the extent of inserts. You have the wearables, the quantified self tools. But when I've always been passionate about the Indian and wellness wisdom. So I always found that there has been, when I looked at the science behind biohacking, I found that we have been doing many of those things, like in the sense that gut is very important for our human health. We all know that, if the gut is not right, your brain is not right. So, and there is something which the science has proven right now, that there is something called a GBA, gut brain axis. And if the gut goes wrong, the brain goes wrong. Now, and when you look at it in a Western world, they talk about a perfect biohack for the gut as something like fermented food. And when I looked at my menu, my diet plan, especially I come from the South India where we eat idli and dosha. These are all fermented food, by the way. But some or other, we moved into the kind of modern style, breads and kind of stuff. So what I'm talking about is that I realized that there are lots of stuff which is there in the Indian wellness wisdom or ancient wellness wisdom, which was prevalent or which has been prevalent in India. But at the same time, we have been ruling it out. So we have a lot of things to do in this space. We can, as Indians, and the advantage I have seen is you can see the difference in your life, especially when you really take a decision to take charge of your health. When you take a decision to take charge of your health, I always believe that you should know the code. Because if you want to hack anything, if you want to hack a machine, you need to know the code. So for human being, there are two codes. One is the genetic code, second is the metabolic code. So you need to have an awareness about both the codes. And once you understand that what is the genetic code which is working in you, within you, and what's the kind of metabolic process which is working within you, having an understanding about it and fine-tuning your entire life process around it, it is all possible scientifically. And there are enough tools available right now. In my own company, Vieroots, we have this kind of biohacking programs. So, which helps people to take charge of their own health, and it works. And I have seen people coming out of chronic illnesses by understanding the root cause of it and fixing it. Yes, this is really useful.
That's something really great to know. And also, like when it comes to biohacking, okay, in that, like as you mentioned, that people can understand the root cause. So, in that case, what's the importance of biohacking in attaining the holistic health and productive aging? Uh, like people like us, the youth currently is having such a busy schedule. We are running so fast, we are not able to understand our health, what's happening, when are we eating, when are we having the sleep. So in that case, is biohacking the perfect thing that we should apply in our lives?
You cannot reverse the way the world is progressing right now. You have to go with the pace. You cannot say that, hey, slow down, man, slow down. But that's not the way the world is growing. The kind of momentum we have gained in every sector, the kind of changes which used to happen in 5 years right now happening in 5 months. So you need to have quick fixes. There is no other way. In fact, you can theoretically and philosophically you can talk many things. So that is the point at which even youngsters who are in their 20s, they need to get some hacks, by which, because what I'm saying is, somebody who says that I don't get enough sleep, okay, I I'm too much tired with my work that I can only get hardly about 3 to 4 hours sleep. So can you make that quality, can you make that sleep much better in quality rather than quantity? Suppose you are compromising anyway quantity, so at least, is there any kind of, or are there any kind of hacks by which you can enhance the quality? Yes, there are. So that is where even anybody for that matter, especially the youngsters who are having a fast paced life, especially with junk food and you know some of the things which we cannot avoid right now. Yeah, we need to understand, we need to get this kind of hacks which can actually fix many of the problems. Yeah, and definitely you can fix it once you understand. That's what I have represented in my book, The Making of a Superhuman, in which I have very clearly narrated very practical steps, around 200 plus biohacks anyone can practice right from the next day. Not all of them, but at least some of them. Whether it is a sleep hack, or whether it's a brain hack, or whether it's a gut hack. These are some of the things which we can practice by slightly shifting the patterns you are having right now. maybe even the way you sleep, the posture of your body, everything has got an impact on your biology and also psychology. So yes, at any age, at any level, people need to understand some of the hacks by which you can actually take charge of their own life.
And with that note, like is the youth like aware of all these biohacking? Are they following it, or like only we are having some cult thing in this biohacking?
I think it's in the initial stages, especially in a country like India, not much
Okay.
aware. Um,
So
you
like
know,
outside, is it more
Oh
like
yeah,
trend?
yeah. If you look at it, this all thing as the wave started from Silicon Valley, and
Mm-hmm.
maybe about 7, 8, or 9 years back, and there, when people, you know, have gone through fatigue because of work, many people started figuring out what to do, because when you are sick, and if you are contracted with one or other diseases, you know where to go to. You have doctors, you have got hospitals, but when you are not sick but at the same time you are not healthy, that uh, that is the point at which you are experiencing fatigue. You are experiencing, you don't know how to express that. Who can guide you, who can help you? That's the time even the youngsters started looking at ways and means by which, is there a hack for this? So that's the way these all concepts came up. And I'm sure that right now there are many people who started propagating these concepts. So it'll be definitely moving like a wildfire. It's not just a cult. Yes, of course, cult is mainly formed when there is a new ideology which comes, and a lot of people are following that ideology blindly. I don't
Mm-hmm.
think biohacking is an ideology which people follow blindly. People are actually testing it. It's science. So, they're testing it because you're going to work on your own body. You're going to work on your own brain. You won't just do it just because of blind belief. So, you will test it, you will read about it, you will find out research papers. So, it may not be a cult. And if somebody is just doing it for the sake of cult, I would say that they are in a wrong track. You need to really study the process and what is the science behind it, and then experimenting it on your own body and your own brain. I'm not talking about self medication, that is wrong, but at the same time, you should know that what kind of food suits you. You should know that what kind of exercise suits you. You know that, at this point of time, when people are going to the fitness centers and trying to get into shape rather than anything else, we are, at the same time, we are seeing celebrities who have got all the money and all the nutritious food collapsing on the gym floor in their 40s. We are seeing many people, they wanted to reduce their weight, they follow keto diet, and some of them get results and some of them get their kidney damaged. We are seeing that right in front of us. So that means blind following is not at all a good idea. You need to understand the science behind it, and it's not difficult to understand. That's what this book, The Making of the Superhuman, I've made it so simple that anybody can read and understand. And it's not just my book, there are a few other publications available right now. Once someone decides that I wanted to maintain high levels of energy and productivity in my life, you can search out, you can actually Google it, you can find out many things, and then look at the research papers, scientific evidences. And if you can find out some functional medicine practitioners, there are functional medicine practitioners who look at your body with a functional point of view, not from a what do you say, the organ specific point of view. Okay, so they are the people who can actually help you and guide you. If you want a medical support in terms of fixing it, a functional medicine practitioner could be the right person. There are many in India right now.
That's that was really insightful. And also, like as you mentioned about the health, so is biohacking amazing for the brain as well? If I want, like for example, in case of the productivity, in case of learning portion, if I talk biohacking for students who are in the education sector, so how biohacking for student actually works?
See, it all depends. I would rather say you cannot generalize it. When it comes to biohacking, I would rather say high level of personalization is required. Something which works for some people may not work for the other person. For example, ashwagandha is one herb which I believe that's a great hack. Ashwagandha is an Indian herb. It's an adaptogen. Adaptogen means it can adapt with any situation. Now, if you're going through a stress, it can relax you. At the same time, if you wanted to perform at peak levels, it can help you. So it depends on the person, and that is why he said a lot of testing need to be done on yourself, and you cannot generalize this thing. But definitely there are solutions. Like there are simple solutions, like if you look at sleep hacks, which is I think something which everybody is craving for right now. That I want to get good sleep,
Sleep
man.
is the most important part. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that's where the entire body get into repair mode. That's the most important part of your life. I always tell people that your day starts on the previous evening. This many people don't never understand. They think that when you wake up, the day starts. No, your night is the preparation for the next day. You have to think that way. Your night is a preparation for the next day. Your sleep is preparing your body for the next day. Think about that. Now, if you don't get proper sleep, how can you perform on that day? You cannot. Now, for that matter, sleep, everybody, most of the people that they consider sleep as the least important thing. I need to take some sleep, man. But understand that your next day is starting from your sleep. Sleep is the time your body is preparing for the next day. So you need to go through some processes, like, I'm just giving you one or two minor tips, like keeping sugar out of your entire regimen. Suppose you had dinner at 8 or 9, and after that you are sleeping at 11. Between you are having a coffee or tea with sugar. Not a good idea. Keeping at least a 2 to 3 hours gap between your dinner and sleep. Great idea. Because there are many scientific processes which happens during that time. And when you are sleeping, having your head slightly, elevated, that's a great idea. Why? Because when you're sleeping, your brain goes through something called lymphatic drain. Like your body goes through something called lymphatic drain, where your toxins, get drained. So lymphatic drain is where your brain also needs detoxing. It has got a detoxifying effect. It has got a detoxifying mechanism. You don't require to go anywhere for that. The brain, how does it detoxifies? Basically, what happens is that during a particular point during your time zone, your sleep zone, your brain squeezes itself to almost 20 to 25% of its size. Like a sponge, it squeezes, and all the fluid comes out, and it has to ooze out, and the fresh fluid has to get in. So this process is called lymphatic drain. And if you have elevated, you are actually having one or two pillow, and it'll help that lymphatic drain to happen in a better way, and your brain get cleansed. It's like a brainwashing, happening during your sleep. So there are some basic things what we can do, which doesn't require any external support. That is why I said that even the way you walk, your posture, the way you sleep, these are all hacks which anybody can practice in their life.
Got it. That was really insightful, and that was something that I also didn't knew personally. And also, like as you mentioned, so many amazing hacks. So there's one question that is coming to my mind: that how biohacking will help the entrepreneurs? Like, do entrepreneurs like do biohacking? Because I'm pretty much sure this is something it's like gonna help a lot in the entrepreneurship journey. So like obviously being an entrepreneur, you might be having a conversation with so many entrepreneur till now. So what are their views on biohacking and how they are getting help from it?
In 1990s, I think the book came out, the Business at the Speed of Thoughts. But actually, at that point of time, many people who read it never realized that whatever is written is really happening right now. It's all happening so fast. Your brain has to function like like a rocket. Like what Stephen Hawking said. The artificial intelligence is growing so fast that the human race, it'll put an end to the human race. The only one way you can actually go faster than artificial intelligence is by really understanding the potential of your brain and enhancing the power of the brain. Nobody knows the potential of the human brain, because most of the inventions which happens, whether it's a computer, laptop, which is mobile phones, anything for that matter, so they're all kinds of manifestations of the way your brain functions. Now, as an entrepreneur, you need to have a very sharp, focused, brain with high level of alertness and concentration. We call it as cognitive functions, for which you need proper sleep. You need to have your brain functioning at the optimum level all through, because you will be in one negotiation, after that you're getting into another negotiation. If something flips, maybe that you may miss $1 million opportunity also, you know. So you need to have a very sharp brain, alert, highly focused brain, and at the same time calm and low stress brain. To maintain that kind of a brain, you need that kind of a physiology too, because only a healthy body can maintain a healthy brain. Okay. Now, if you wanted to have that kind of a brain functioning, you need to have a healthy body to hold it. That means including your gut, because many people, they know that, your headache, sometimes you get a headache, and most of the time the issue is with your gut. That they know. But many people have no clue that your happiness, your sadness, your aggression, your anger, your depression, you think that these are all functions of the brain. But now the latest science has proven that these are all functions of the gut, because the neurochemical which is responsible for happiness, serotonin, the latest studies prove that 94% of those serotonins are produced by the gut bacteria which is residing inside your gut. Okay, now these gut bacteria which produces serotonin, and this serotonin makes you happy. Think of a situation where those bacteria are not there, number one. Number two, they need something called an amino acid called L-tryptophan to produce this serotonin. Suppose your food is not providing the L-tryptophan. So, if you don't understand that, and if you are always feeling sad and moody and going to a psychologist and getting all those kinds of pills, how is it going to help? So, an entrepreneur has to be happy, he has to be excited, he has to be enthusiastic about what he's doing, so he has to maintain his gut properly. I would rather say that anyone who is driving his own business, his own profession, whether it could be an influencer, could be a celebrity, especially those people who have got high value for their per hour, value is very high, like the celebrities. They should be all learning about biohacking, so that they can actually enhance the value of their own life and value of their hour, because they can be more productive with lesser time. So this is significantly important for entrepreneurs, celebrities, influencers, self-employees. Yeah, there's no doubt about it.
That was really great to hear that, and it was very much insightful for me as well, because I also didn't knew in such a deep manner that that's how all things work. And also I never knew that just because of my gut I'm having all these like emotion stuff. So that was really amazing, insightful, and I'm pretty much sure that and also I'll for all the listeners, I have like shared the book link with you in the description. You can just check that out and have a look into it. I'm pretty much sure that this book is going to help you a lot in understanding more about this biohacking and like obviously the making of a superhuman. And with that note,
Thanks a lot, Sajeev.
for joining in. That was a very amazing and insightful podcast for all the listeners and for me as well, because we talked about something which is very, like I would say, underrated, to be honest, in India. So I am pretty much sure this podcast is going to help a lot of people in understanding this, and it was very amazing and very amazing to have.
Thank you, Chavi. I would rather just say that when we talk about biohacking, always keep a few things in mind. One is that it varies from person to person. It is very highly personalized. So don't jump into any generalized kind of modalities which could actually damage you. Number one. Number two, it is always a good idea to seek the support of a functional medicine practitioner who could actually really help you in doing that. Number three is that have your own data, the genomic data and also metabolic data, before actually working out anything. Number four is don't get too much concerned about the kind of data also, because nowadays people, they walk around and they just look, every hour they check their glucose level, every hour they check their cardiac rhythm. This is too much. You are not a machine. and you have got a mind which is working more powerful than your body. And every time you're checking your glucose, okay, I have eaten this, where is my glucose level? Okay, after that I have taken the dessert, where is my glucose level? What's that you're going to do with that? you know and some people all the time, they have got so many devices right now connected, they can check their blood pressure all the time. See, these are symptoms of some other diseases.
Yeah, like
Okay.
I get those like smartwatches and stuff like that, checking
It's
out my
okay, it's okay,
heart
but
rate.
all the time if you start monitoring your own cellular functions, and all the time you started monitoring your own metabolic functions, you at the end of the day, you are the one who is going to manage all this thing.
Exactly.
It's not the meters which are going to manage you. So biohacking doesn't mean, because it is becoming a fashionable thing to having all these kinds of devices. And very soon I think people will be wearing a lot of things in their body, saying that I'm a biohacker. No, I think my concept about biohacking is completely different. It is simple. There are so much of information available. Even I always tell that our grandma's recipe itself is a biohacking tool. So we have to look at it from that angle. And I can tell you that, yes, once you take charge of your own health and well-being, you can actually make a significant difference in your all aspects of your life and perform at peak levels in all areas of your life.
That was a very amazing advice, and that was very much insightful. And at the same time, I really loved the way you like told to the listeners that okay, before stepping in into something new, try to understand how it works and how like you should at least know about yourself. Okay, without knowing yourself, you are if you are jumping into anything, not just into biohacking, in if anything, you will not be able to understand what's happening. So with that note,
Thanks a lot, Sajeev.
for joining in, and it was really great having you. And I'm pretty much sure that yeah, like the link that I've shared in the description, they are surely gonna have a look into it and surely gonna share their views in the comments below.
Thank you so much. Have a great time.
Thank you so much, Sajeev, for joining in.